My name is Richard Luna. I'm CEO of Protected Harbor. I've been doing this since I was 14 years old, and that was a long time ago. And I love technology. Protected Harbor came out of 9/11. A lot of my clients were in the trade centers, and that world's changed after that. So we went to more of an application support model, and that's where we are. We have two sides to our business. One is we help data center customers keep their applications running and durable. We do that unlike other hosting companies. What we do is we integrate our services in with their programming staff and learn the flaws and faux pas of the applications so that we can keep those applications up and running. And reputation is really key to keeping a business running well. And the other side of our services is full service, where we will take over the entire IT of a company, and we'll do everything soup to nuts for that company. They do not need any on-prem staff, although some of our clients do. If they've got a lot of locations, they choose to have on-prem to the last mile of support, but all the infrastructure work we maintain. The biggest takeaway from 2021 is the vulnerability of data and how much it's growing. We don't realize it. You check in for a COVID test, you get a blood result. It's all data. And that data is not in one company, it's in multiple companies, and it's all being interchanged, and it's all vulnerable and exposed. And the biggest area we see is the fight between maintaining the data in an organizational way and security. Because security does slow things down, but you need it slowed down because you don't want to have everything open in every place. So what I encourage our clients to do is anytime they're going to share data, make sure to use it in an encrypted, not just a VPN, but use an encrypted communications like a REST API, something that guarantees connectivity. And stay away from older VPN-based encryptions because they're dangerous. Trends plaguing the industry is we've overshared data. So we have had customers that have had a public drive. And that public drive, everybody had access to it. Well, that's a great place for ransomware to live because now the company is down. There's a disconnect between, oh, let's just share this document. No. Who needs access to it? Why do they need access to it? Let's create methodologies that control the flow of data instead of just randomly creating silos that can now be infected or attacked. And that's the biggest change is we've been living in a 1990s data model. Now it's 2022 and that we've reached the end that model works. Now we have to transition to a model where we take security for real and we think of security as we're creating the model. And that's what we do for our customers. I mean, we don't just, a customer signs on with us and says, oh, help us. We don't just suck up their data and say, oh, okay, you're all good now. No, we evaluate what's going on and we harden it. We look and that onboard process could take 2 days or it could take 2 months because we don't want to just bring old practices in. And it's a balance because you don't want to make so many changes that they become unproductive, but you've got to harden them because you've got to make sure that no matter what, that company is going to stay up and running. COVID has brought a dramatic decrease in security because now all of a sudden you have remote staff that have their home computers now connected into the office. So you can mitigate some of that. Oh, well, download this protection package. It's all Band-Aids. You can't have a home computer that a kid's playing a video game on now interconnected with the office and think that you're not going to get some attack. So what's happened is, instead of 100 employees or 200 employees in an office where you have a protected environment, now those 200 employees are dialed in and you're subject to everything that they have in their home. So if they have an infected TV or an infected other computer, now it's piggybacking on top of the connection and now attacking the network. And that's the biggest transition. What we do for our clients that's really critical, when we absorb our clients, the only thing that goes across the wire is mouse and keyboard. So even if you have an infected machine, if you're logging into our system, it's mouse and keyboard. You can't fake it. And of course we turn on 2FA, so there's no way somebody's going to get in. And that has allowed us to have incredibly responsive systems that are also durable. Where is the riskiest part of the network is it's the server. It's any part that holds the data. So it's going to be the central point of where data is. I've had customers say, oh, well, we don't have to worry. We're going to move to Office 365, or we're going to move to another cloud vendor. And here's the problem. Now, like with Office 365, Microsoft's not going to get attacked. They know how to lock down, but their resellers get attacked. And now the company doesn't even know that their emails are compromised or their documents are compromised because their reseller's account has been compromised and now they're exposed. And an organization shouldn't blindly let go of their security. If you're going to let go of your security, put procedures in place so you can test whether you're secure. And you can do that. And that's what we do routinely for our customers. And that's what's happening in 2022, is it's the same problem, it's wherever the data is. So in 2021, it's the server. 22, it's still the server, but now it's moving to the cloud. And that's where the attacks are moving. Why? Because that's where the data is, because the data is the money. And follow the money. That's where you need to harden. I would say the pandemic escalated the process of digitalization, and it's only going to continue because now you have tools like AI and BI that allow you to analyze the data in a pretty easy or straightforward methodology. And all of a sudden, the patterns that are in the data are becoming clearer. And whether that's a billing pattern for insurance, whether that's a procedure pattern for healthcare, it's all about data and it's all about patterns, and that means having a lot of data online and available because those patterns need the data to be able to get summarized. And so you're not looking at a decrease. The nature of what is occurring is there's value in lots more data in a greater way over a greater duration, which is going to just create an explosion. And that's what's occurring. We have to, this is what we do for our clients, but what businesses have to do is take security seriously. And what I mean by that is not just say it, but don't just jump to integrate a new app or a new connection. What do they need? Where does it go? How do we mitigate if they have a breach? How does that come in? Have those conversations that are really get into the nuts and bolts. And now, when you share the data, if there is a vulnerability, it's not oh my gosh, we didn't think of that, it's we already planned for it. And that is what is occurring now. And one of the biggest things that organizations can do is segment the network so that if there is a breach in one area, it can't come over into another area. Even in 2022, we see networks that are flat. Well, if you have a flat network, one machine gets compromised, every machine can now be compromised. And that's crazy. Why do it? It just takes that extra moment to think through the process and say, okay, let's break this up. Cloud computing in general has weakened to a certain extent existing IT infrastructure, because now the same people have to monitor and manage not just the prior technology but the new technology. And so the example I used a little while ago of Office accounts being attacked, where they don't attack Microsoft, they attack the reseller who sold Office or the organization that deployed Office. Well, that's just as good as attacking your original old-fashioned server. And now it's harder to find. So that's what IT organizations have to deal with, is the attack not just of their current equipment, but of where the data is. And it goes back to follow the data, because that's the value. So wherever there's data, that's where you've got to protect. Is healthcare IT ahead or behind the technology curve? Both, and at the same time. And what I mean by that is, it's always the number one security attack industry because of the value of data. Nothing is more valuable than medical data. And it's usually behind in some degrees because budgets are relatively flat or don't respond quickly enough, and it takes a while to see what the patterns are. We tend, as IT people, we tend to see a problem and want a solution. And unfortunately, some problems like security, it's not that easy to fix. So the tendency is, let's go buy a security box. Virus A comes out. Let's go buy a box to stop virus A. And then virus B comes out. Let's go buy another box or get an update and fix virus B. The problem is, what you should be fixing is, how are these viruses getting in the first place? And fix that problem. Then when C comes out and D comes out, you don't have to buy additional boxes, you're already protected. And that thought process is really hard to go, because number one, you have to see the longevity of IT, where everything goes in cycles, and a lot of people either age out or move on, and so you get a whole new group of people who now, what do they know? They know the last 5 years of IT. They don't know what was IT 10 years ago. They're gone. They're out of the industry, or they weren't in the industry. And so you're missing that long-term view and to watch the patterns. But everything goes in cycles, and that's where we are. And we're just in a different part of that cycle now. Number one, turn on 2FA, two-factor authentication. That means it'll take a little bit longer to log in, well worth it in terms of time. Isolated backups are really critical. Then if something does occur or a device fails, the business is not out of business. They can recover. Invest in a good firewall that does geo-blocking or packet sniffing. Those are three things that really matter. There's a lot of other things they can do beyond that take longer. Those three things can be done within a day, and they'll help the organization immensely. How do I see the future of health tech in the next 5 years? More data. Data is valuable. You can mine it, you can evaluate it, you can look at it. You need the data to be able to do all of that. So the data is going to keep growing. There's going to be a continuing outsourcing of medical procedures, which is going to be yet more data. And all this is going to lead to a data explosion. And we need to plan for it now. The explosion is, in and of itself, is one issue, But the second issue is the data interchange. So we have to make sure that that data interchange is secure from cradle to grave. And that's where the real challenge gets to be.